This is Texas Algebra 1 2024 Practice Set 1. You can find this practice set free on Teacher Pay Teacher at my store, which is Secondary Math Assessment Resources. It will be free to download till January the 15th. So jump on there and get your copy so that you can work along with me in this video. Once you open your practice set, you'll see that the items are at the beginning. And there's an answer key after that. And at the very end is where I want you to go first, actually. At the top of this last page, there's a link that you can use to go to the actual items that I'm showing you in this video. The items we're going to look at are 1, 3, 9, 10, and 13. These are from the Texas STAAR Assessment, May 2022. This is the last full released assessment from Texas. They are now doing online assessments, so they're not going to have a released paper test again. But these are good examples of the types of items that could appear even on that assessment. So go ahead and click the link that is here, and it will take you out to the test. This is the STAAR assessment that is posted at the Texas Education Agency, and when you click on the link, it's going to take you directly to this test. If you'll scroll down to the very first item in the test, that's where we're going to start today. The first item is your typical graphing item where you're looking at attributes of a graph of a quadratic function. We're going to use the Desmos Graphing Calculator to check these points. First, we'll go to desmos.com and click on Math Tools. We will not use the graphing calculator at the top. Scroll down to Test Practice. At the top, you're going to choose your assessment. Scroll down to the assessment that we're using today, which is Texas STAAR, and then click on Start Practice. For the first item, we are going to adjust the window to fit the item that is on the actual practice test. Okay, in the Texas STAAR calculator, we're going to click on the wrench. And down here, we're going to type in what we want the window of our graph to be. So notice this graph goes from -14 to 6. So that's exactly what I'm going to put here. And then I want to label this X. It conveniently says X in that box and says X here. So put the label X. And then the Y's go from -10 to 10. And then Y. Now we could stop here, or you can add steps of 2. You can also turn off minor grid lines. Sometimes I square, but right now I think I'm just going to leave that, and this looks okay. So I'm going to start by typing in answer choice A, x-intercept 5, 0. Now, some of our kids, believe it or not, get to Algebra 1 and still don't know how to plot a point, and I know that's just heartbreaking, but it's true. So one way to have your kids learn how is just to have them type some in on Desmos and see where these points fall. This is between the 4 and the 6. This parabola does not go between the 4 and the 6 on the x-axis. So you can eliminate answer choice A. That is not an x-intercept of that graph. So let's change that to answer choice B, x-intercept 0, -10. Well, they shouldn't even type this one in because that's a y-intercept. But just in case they don't know that, they can type it in and see 0, -10 is on the y-axis, and there is no parabola visible at 0, -10 on the actual test. The third answer choice says the y-intercept is 0, 5. Same thing. That's not really an x-intercept, so they should eliminate that one. But just in case, they can type it, and they'll see 0, 5 does not appear to have a parabola there on the graph. So the last answer choice is correct. Let's go ahead and type them all in. -10, 0, and that's labeled. The next point was 2, 0. And then let's label it so you can see it. And then finally, the last point was 0, -5. And it does appear to be a y-intercept, and it does appear to be where this parabola crosses the y-axis. So I can see that these are the only points that actually lie on that parabola that's showing up on the test. So the correct answer is D. Okay, I've started over with a fresh calculator. We're going to scroll down to item number 3, a system of equations, and we're looking to see which system is in this graph. So I'm going to start by typing y equals 2 divided by 5. And then I want the x to be to the right of that, minus 8. And then the second equation, click down and type it into y equals negative 3 divided by 5. Then the x minus 3. And this system appears to have an intersection point in the fourth quadrant. And in this test, the intersection point is in the third quadrant. So this system does not match the one in the graph. So don't delete that. If you look at answer choice B, it's pretty similar to that. We'll just change this 8 to a 3 and this 3 to an 8, or minus 3 to a minus 8. And this looks correct. To double check it, click on these critical attributes, which are these intercepts and the intersection points, and let's see if these are all matching. What's here? This is at negative 5, 5, 0, negative 3, 0, negative 8. Looks good. So this is the correct answer choice B. Let's scroll down to the next item. Okay, I have scrolled down to item number 9. So I'm going to delete these two equations. I'm going to leave my graph as is for now. We'll see if we need to change it. An exponential function is graphed. So let's type in the first answer choice to see how well it compares to the first graph. So let me do the parentheses, 0.25. Shift 6 is what we use to make an exponent. There is a keyboard down at the bottom you can use, but for my students, they just usually want to type it without having to pull that up. So Shift 6 will make an exponent. That looks really good. B also looks really good. So let's do B, which has the 2 here and the 0.5 here. So by process of elimination, when you type in your 1.25 for C, you'll quickly notice that this is exponential growth. So that's not going to look anything like the graph, and neither is D, which is 25 to the x power. That's exponential growth too. So we're down to A and B. They both look fairly good. So we're going to have to go a little deeper and analyze this. So take a look at these points. You've got 0, 1, which does appear to be on the test, 0, 1. Let's use our cursor and press and hold. We're going to go to negative 1. And it looks like negative 1 is about 4. So to be sure, we're going to type P of negative 1 and see what that is. It says 4. That's exactly right. P of negative 1 is 4. So that would be on this graph. It looks like negative 1, 4 is a point. Let's do another point. Negative 2 looks like it's way up here. Maybe it's 16. So let's see if that's true. P of negative 2. Good way to teach function notation also is or evaluating functions is to use that in your calculator. But at negative 2, if you scroll up, negative 2, it's hard to get right on it. It looks like it's right about 16, and it is. So this is the correct answer, A. The points negative 1, 16, the negative 1, 4, negative 2, 16 do appear on this graph. B is really close, but it's a little less steep. The next item we're looking at is item number 10. I'm going to go ahead and X these 3 out, and I'm going to type in not just this expression, but I'm actually going to name a function. So I'm going to do f of n equals. This is something you'll need to do in the Texas STAAR version of Desmos calculator, not in regular Desmos. So your state assessment, if you're not in Texas, this may not be necessary, but it is kind of helpful to have 2 separate functions, as you'll see in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and do f of n for the original product of binomials that were given in the instructions. So I just type that in. Let me move this over so you can see better. So f of n is 4n, or n minus 4 times 2n plus 7. All right, next I'm going to go to the next row and I'm going to name a different function of n. So I'll say g of n. It can be any number, any letter. Great opportunity to talk about function notation and naming functions. So we're going to use the first answer choice, which is 3n plus 3. Hopefully a lot of your students will already know this is not possibly correct because you should have a binomial. Product of two binomials is going to give you a quadratic function. This is a linear function, so that's not going to work. So the same is true for answer choice G. I'm going to go ahead and skip that one and go to H, which is a quadratic function. So this is more plausible. Again, depending on the sophistication of your students, they don't necessarily need to do everything I'm showing you, but if they don't know, this is going to give them some more information about these answer choices. This one is a parabola. So if you look over here, you can see this is a blue parabola, but it doesn't match the red one. So this is a quadratic function, but it is not equivalent. So I'm going to change this one. Let's do, instead of minus 15, let's just put a minus n there and look at that. Now you'll notice this blue parabola is pretty much covered up the other one. To be sure of it, click on this button. It'll turn off the blue one and you'll see the red one underneath. Turn it back on and it's over it. So these two expressions are creating the same quadratic function. So therefore that is the correct answer choice J. I'm going to scroll down now and look at the last item in the practice set. Last item in the set is a fairly traditional item about transformations. So I'm going to X these out and I'm going to type in the original function f of x equals x squared, the quadratic parent function. And then on the next row, I'm going to type in n of x. And I love how we have two different function names. You can use the notation. It does work, but for this case, I really like this. And you'll see there's two separate parabolas here with two separate colors. If for some reason yours come out the same, encourage your students to click on these dots and change the color. So I can make this one red, or I can make it green. Oh, that's the same. Or I can make it black or orange. So I'm going to look at the orange one. Notice it says which answer choice describes how the graph was transformed. Well, obviously the green parabola is our f of x graph. N of x has been translated 1 unit down. Another way to say that is a vertical shift down. So the correct answer choice is C. If you haven't already, head over to my store, Secondary Math Assessment Resources, on Teacher Pay Teacher to get your copy of this practice set. The practice set does not contain these items. It actually contains 5 additional items that mirror those items that are very similar in style. And so you can use those to practice these strategies with your students or to have them practice these strategies before they take their state test. If y'all have any questions, please drop a comment in the video and I will get right back to you. Y'all have a great day.